All that money up there for the taking. What do you want? 1,500, 2,000, more? It's there for you. What do I get? Well, ain't that a bitch? Alright, let me get started here today with the week one, an introduction to week one, and we'll talk a bit about the beginning of the college football season that started last Saturday. A lot of things happened. It seems like in college football every week a lot of things happen, and there's always what I was telling the guys that work at Coke with me, play out game every week. So until we get the playoff system and the play at the end of the season, I don't have a problem with not having the playoffs because it seems like a team gets eliminated every week until the national championship picture, given the SEC teams, the Alabamas and Floridas and Georgias and whatnot, kind of a reprieve. They get another shot at it. Georgia lost, and what I thought was the game of the week. That sea of orange and purple down there in Death Valley was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Second only to us here in Norman, but that was a great atmosphere for a college game. It was number 5 versus number 8. So one team was automatically just going to almost play themselves out. The thing is, both teams being top 10 and with the result being Clemson winning and Georgia losing 38-35, Georgia dropped to 11th. They're the highest ranked winless team. You get back on your roll, they'll stay around 11 and maybe start to come up, but they've got to win out. But their backs are against the wall. Next loss is automatically a play out, if this one isn't. But we're going to talk about Johnny Manziel first because I wanted to do it on a post on Facebook with the song, but I couldn't think of a song besides Get Money by Junior Mafia. There was a couple of different aspects. First off, I guess, it's kind of half bitching, but I think it needs to be said. Because there's a couple of guys, and there's a couple of hundred if there's more than these two, that really don't care for, as they're not Bears or, whatever, but I don't care for them anyway. Terrell Pryor and Dez Bryant. These two guys have a legitimate gripe with the NCAA. And, I kind of feel them on that. Terrell Pryor sold a jersey, game jersey, some other tchotchkes and shit like that to make some money as he's a college kid, need money if you're in college anyway. Put black on that and you really need money. A lot of people don't realize that these star athletes come from, very meager beginnings. Maybe not as much more so now, everybody's out there getting it, but, the prevailing thought was a lot of these guys are talented, but they're broke. Their families are broke. They're barely getting by. They definitely can't afford, 1, the college education, and 2, to be able to supplement their college education with any extra monies, cars, things of that nature. It's tough. So much so that Terrell Pryor sold his jersey. Deion Sanders took Dez Bryant out. Sure did, I want to go into what he did. I'm sure he did enough or something. But now Dez Bryant lied. I can get that. Nobody loves to be lied to. You can talk to anyone. You can meet anyone for the first time. And if it's to be a friendship, they'll tell you, oh, one thing you can't do is lie to me. One thing you can't do is be dishonest. So, that's fine. And I can get where the punishment came from. Had he came forward and told the truth, 3 games, 6 games, the half a season area. They suspended him for his last year as a collegiate athlete, and it hasn't looked like it yet, but it may have, if he was nicked up or something, could have actually been a benefit to him as he was going to the NFL regardless. Same with Terrell Pryor, I don't know his punishment, but they were punished more than a half of football in the first game of the season. Besides Clemson and Georgia, everyone else pretty much had a cush schedule. And Texas A&M was playing Rice. Now, where Rice is in their conference, they're still not that great, but they can play conference ball. So I'm not going to say any football team is a slouch. It's just Texas A&M, Rice. Maybe in basketball or baseball is different, but as far as football goes, the nod all goes to Texas A&M. So they didn't need Johnny Manziel anyway. Now, if you sign all of these autographs, knowing that these people are going to turn around and build them up and build people out of them, you're going to get some money. From what I hear, the Manziel family has their hands in some oil, so they can augment Johnny's income. Maybe finance it all together. So he didn't need to do that. He may have just wanted to see his name everywhere, and somebody showed him a wad of money that he Instagram or tweeted at the club later on. Y'all seen the pics. I don't tweet or do Instagram, so you all have seen those pictures. I've seen it on the internet. Can imagine that money being handed to him that afternoon for those autographs. So there is evidence out there of him holding an exorbitant amount of money. And the question needs to be asked, well, how do you get it? You can't just balk on that one and say, oh, my parents gave it to me. Your parents would give it to you on a card or would finance it themselves. You got this whole wad of money, okay? And you didn't sign, you signed the autographs, but you didn't get any money for it. If my name was worth anything and I signed thousands of, I don't care what it is, if I signed one thing, if my name was worth anything, I want some. I want some. Like residuals. If you are on a TV show, the show goes off the air and it comes back on, you still get paid every time that show comes on, that episode comes on. So, sure. I want mine. I'm sure he wants his too. So I won't, doubt him for that. My thing is, it seems like he lied. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. It seemed like he lied. I've seen pictures on the internet of him holding wads of money that I've only held once income tax times come around. So the NCAA has got the evidence. So no matter what, and the theory around the suspension and all that is, well, everybody wants to see this kid that had a great season last year and beat Oklahoma and won the Heisman. You don't want to see him suspended for the whole year. But then what is that saying about Dez Bryant and Terrell Pryor? Guys were no slouches in and of themselves. So we want to see Johnny, and we're going to see Johnny. The NCAA said they talked to him for 6 hours. I'd like to imagine what the conversation was about. A lot of it had to have taken tangents to, who knows what else. And slip a question in. Well, Johnny, did you take any money? Did you do? So what did you do? You tell us. and his word is scripture. Meanwhile, these assumedly broke ass niggas, if not broke, definitely they got what the Manziel family has. These niggas gotta lie to cover themselves up so they can be able to play, and did and was punished. So they found stuff for them. You didn't find out for Johnny Manziel. I found something. Ask him why he's got that, but why the money? I'm sure there's more than just one. Okay. That's the beef off the field with him. Now you go to Saturday, he gets the half game suspension that's like that bad medicine, or any medicine if you're a kid, that your mom jams down your throat. You know what I'm saying? And it comes out the side. We got force fed that crap. So he comes in the second half of a somewhat ball game, and Texas A&M ended up winning by 3 touchdowns. They still gave up 31 points. There's issues on the field beyond Manziel with Texas A&M, and then how much of that is Manziel? These niggas around here like, hey man, there's 100 other guys on this team. You know, sure he gets the credit, but we're here too. I'm sure that's not why they gave up 31 points. Again, you know, college football being what it is, team sport. Except Louisiana Monroe. We'll talk about them later. So Manziel comes in the second half, in the third quarter, and it's necessary to say the third quarter. So, suspended for a half. He comes in the third quarter, throws 3 touchdown passes, 6 out of 9, not quite 100 yards. So he's still about 16 yards of completion, 10 yards of pass play, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, literally picks up right where he left off from the second half of the bowl game versus Oklahoma. Literally picks right up where he left off. He starts, now, you know, for whatever it's worth, Rice may have set the tone with the little autograph things they were doing. They had that in mind. Whether their coaches told them to do it or not, they were going to do something with Johnny Manziel. But you are an elite athlete. You are one of only 30, 40 guys that have hoisted that 20-pound trophy. And my boss included. He's got to hold it. Lucky bastard. I'd love to get my hands off to hold it. So you're in this elite group of guys. You are definitely going pro, which means you should practice on being pro, much like you're practicing to a point, you know, for pro football, everything else too. Hold on, guys, I got a phone call. You stare at the board. What up, man? Hey, shit, man. We're on the intersection before we stand off for us today. I'm saying, I went down to the old block of my mom and shit. Easy look right off. The guy how to make it go south. Have you been to the movie? Ain't never been no movie, though. I wish I could be out there at the house old, man. I take it over off, put it up the road, and the other two, I said, I'm not going to do it. You can take advantage of it, $200, man. The old lady got the car there, man. I was wondering if it was cool. Yeah. So you'll get back to like that. So, well, check it out, man. Let me know if you want right now. I'll be around there around 9. All right, well. Didn't hear about that. Whatever. Pardon that. And a jar of sun tea. Oh, one more time. Because there's a lot of things I'm talking about. It's going to take a while. It is going to take a while. We're already a few minutes in. It looks like 15 minutes in. So, you all just bear with me. And think about what's being said, too. You got these guys that are broke and need to do something to augment their income because they're not getting paid for the service. Well, hell, you can make the argument, oh, well, a college education runs upwards of $45,000, $51,000. Fine. Nigga, I ain't got $51,000. I ain't got the money to be able to go through, and do what I need beyond the $51,000. You're talking in that money for room, board, books, learning. Food, room, board, books, learning. That's it. Yeah, I'm 19. I owe you for 1 year. Yeah, I hit the clubs. I was at the clubs. I was out doing it. I hit the books. I did it all, man. That's it. There's a lot more to it. And my food stipend ran out into the first semester. So, whatever. But now Johnny Manziel doesn't need the money. Doesn't need what he gets from doing this off the field, illegal in the eyes of the NCAA activity. He doesn't need this money. And he gets, I'd say, slapped on the wrist. But here in just a moment, I'm going to explain why I'm not. He doesn't get anything. Meanwhile, these other guys have to go through it. And Jim Jones said, oh, Lord, I'm going through it. And they get built out of games, out of exposure, this, that, and the other. The stigma of NCAA violator put on them. Johnny Manziel felt like he violated the interest of the game or whatever that is. There's nothing I can do about it, but bitch to you guys on YouTube and Facebook. And just ask for fairness. Just ask for fairness. Pay them. You boosters can get these guys $2,500. The school can't. $2,500 on a card. So at least once, if at all, at least once, they can do something with the money. Hell, they can give it to their families who need money. On welfare for whatever reason. We're not going to go into that. On welfare or barely scraping by with 2 jobs. Maybe they could use that money to come and see their kid that they've wished away from parts unknown Mississippi to Corvallis, Oregon, to Los Angeles, to to Hollywood, to Dallas, to Chicago, to all these big ass cities. Where a lot of the other kids, they're fine. Moms and pops got them. They go do whatever they please when they please. There's a section of the population that isn't just, maybe written off as lazy or, whatever. One kid out of their pack, defeats the odds and gets to school. Whereas the Manziel family, any kid can go to school if they so desire. You don't have to. Sure, you don't have to. But you're in. Food, extras, anything. I'm not saying pay them. I'm saying give them. You know what I'm saying? Don't pay them if they're amateur athletes. Give them something. Hell, the bowl games, give them something. A bag with an iPad in it or something. Shit, you can't give these motherfuckers something? Okay, you want to say the game of football and the education is equal. But football being such a violent sport, plus such a popular sport, almost demands that these kids that have to do practice, have to do work, have to do school, barely if they are getting by, have to transfer, have to go to the JUCO route. Get something. And if you give them just one chance with the $2,500 card, scholarships get a $2,500 card, walk-ons get $1,500. Just some money in their pocket. They can say no to the boosters. They can say no to them. They can save their money. They can put $400 or $500 up in a bank account for the merchant. They can put another $500 up in savings to draw some kind of money. They can spend $500. They can take their girl out to Red Lobster and do the stuff that they want to do, that they hear in rap songs. So it's just common sense. Season tickets to OU for some games, $774. 30,000 people paid $700 at least or more for those seats. You can pinch out, let's see, 2,500 times 100 players. That's just, beyond walk-ons. If they just gave everybody 2,500, it'd be $250,000. You can't find $250,000 somewhere when debt is in the trillions, and we're talking, billions now like they're millions, and trillions like they're billions. We can't find $250,000, a billion. Give these guys something. It would take a lot of the pressure off. Because right now, the next nigga is sitting here like, shit, I'm broke. I'm this dude that ESPN is talking about. I'm broke. What am I supposed to do? So he goes out there. Rice maybe starts to tempt him with the signing. He starts talking shit, pointing at the scoreboard. That I'll let go. One, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's not a college football player. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Right? Everybody else then, especially from Rice, are college football players. He's Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel. Maybe not coolest thing to do in the world, but if anything, I'd let that go. I let it go. But then, when he scores, he throws up the money sign. He does this. You don't do this, right? You don't do the money sign. I get money. One, and most obvious. Hello, NCAA. There's a clue. He's not broke. You don't do this if you're broke. You do this if you get money. Try to pay attention. Even I can see that, and I'm no lawyer or nothing. I don't know much about no doctoring, but shit, I know a broken leg when I see one. So he just slaps the NCAA, Texas A&M, and anybody like us in the public who just wants fairness. I didn't vote for Obama. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican because I can't imagine either one doing a better job than the other. Okay? I just want fairness. Dennis Bryant got booked out of a year. Terrell Pryor got built. He gets after all this happens, he gets sat by his coach for the fourth quarter. So he only played in the fourth quarter. The coach sat him, punished him half as much just for doing those things than the NCAA. In-game, live, on the fly. Sat him down for the fourth quarter. I wonder how many of those kids are going to him, man, coach, he's going to have us, getting talked about. And then how much of it is the coach saying, hey, we don't accept that, especially supposedly at Texas A&M, the properest school in the land that it is, We got this guy he's playing for Texas A&M for himself. And a lot of guys don't, really don the colors for the school. He's playing football at Texas A&M for himself. He gets sat by his coach in the fourth quarter for jaw-jacking, throwing up the money sign. Come on, you guys did not see that? That would be the last thing I do. If you're a criminal, and the NCAA, let's not split hairs here, people. If you violated, you're an NCAA violator. You're as good as a criminal in their eyes, in their regime. Okay, as good as a criminal. Terrell Pryor, Reggie Bush, etc., 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 etc. You're a criminal. So, if you are this criminal, why, after being maybe lightly punished or even exonerated for a crime, would you, at first sight, do that? Like, if you were a bank robber, would you, if you were a bank robber, went on trial, was acquitted, would you tweet pictures of you holding $12,000, just holding dough like this? Oh, the police are going to see that. Hey, wait a minute. Let's trace these bills. We're back here. You're back in trouble. You car thief. You go out stealing cars again. Any crime. You're a murderer. You go right back out and murder somebody else. Stabby McStab or something. No. You would lay low. But as soon as he gets off on not accepting money, when we have pictures of him obviously holding all kinds of money, let a nigga hold that kind of dough, and we would, hey, shit. Let's not even talk about the niggas that got to sell dope. You know what I'm saying? They got to sell dope, or want to, or need to, or have to, and get the money like that. Niggas are selling dope. Bam. Pretty much. Now, there are some dudes out there that are really committing crimes, raping, robbing, and even killing through Aaron Hernandez and all that, but enough for him. And that's another group of people. Not necessarily talking about them, though there's, to a degree, depending on the crime, is out of necessity. Not so much what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the athletes that are struggling, and it's beyond football. It's beyond football. It's in other sports too, but they've got a talent. They may have been whisked across their state, across country, and the new element, culture shock, and all that, and they need help. I left for school with nothing. Came back with even less. Car got taken. So anyway, it seemed kind of weird for him to go that route. Alright. Let's hopefully put Johnny Manziel off our plates for a while. So, ordered the OU game. That was my first pay-per-view. My first pay-per-view football game. And it's kind of interesting. OU was flat. They were not into it. And Louisiana Monroe was in a position to wrest momentum from OU. Trying to get some points, but the drive stalled. And then, eventually turnovers got into it. But enough about Louisiana Monroe, because, with all due respect to them, they're there basically to live scrimmage and give OU, one of their wins. That's how they get them, North Texas, and teams like that. Now, we played some tough teams, and Tulsa a couple of years ago in their heyday, and coming up again in a couple of weeks, I think, if not one. Okay, fine. But this was to gauge Oklahoma and to see where they're at. Now, Stoops bailed on Bell for whatever reason, and when I saw him on the sidelines warming up early, and then standing by later on in the game, it looks like he's taking it real well, and that's the pun, as he's 6'6", it's awfully big of him to go that route. It says a lot to his character or whatever, but They go with Trevor Knight. No, I'm out of San Antonio. All right. And he's flat. He's throwing the ball at the feet. He's throwing it over the wrong shoulder. He's off a step. We've ran 2 or 3 straight 3-and-outs, just in sand. It was tough to see. And so we get the ball on the 20-yard line of the 3rd and 10. Yeah, after the defense, which I may talk about later, or just now, defense stepped up. It's kind of like the Bears defense in that they hold the offense down. Now, the Bears offense scores a lot, so they can put points on the board, and OU's didn't, but it didn't. It did its job. It stopped Monroe from scoring, which that's all you could ask for. I mean, that was a stellar job by that defense. When the offense seemed a bit camera shy, and blinded by the lights and everything, first time, and they come out flat and you're not really with it, the defense came in there and stepped up again, albeit against Louisiana Monroe. That's fine. But there was a point where Monroe could have gotten up earlier on them. Mississippi State got up on Oklahoma State. It was, I think, 7-3 at halftime. They didn't score until into the second half, so they looked flat. Tulsa looked just out and out terrible. Beyond pockets of nice Hurricane football, they just looked terrible. So the same happens to OU, and OU has the let the dog out here. OU has the advantage. OU has the advantage of seeing these guys play. They saw Tulsa play. They saw Oklahoma State play. I guess they didn't do anything to change their game plan, and they just ran Stoops football. And it was not working with Trevor Knight. Even though he's a redshirt freshman, that's all he has in common with Sam Bradford. And that was made extremely clear again on that 3rd and 10 at the 20-yard line. Because had they not converted that 3rd down, you're kicking it to Louisiana Monroe, giving it to them for the 5th time, I'm sure they're going to get something there. They're going to get something there. And if not, then God bless them. But you're pressing your luck. If you don't get it, you have to kick it to him again. And when he saw that nobody was open, he just took off. And it seemed like the sea of people just parted, and he ran. He just was like running like a gazelle in the middle of a field just by himself. He slides right into the middle of the OU symbol at the 50. 30 yards, first down. Crowd goes wild. I go wild. Wake the woman up. I had to watch it late. So you all are posting it live when you're seeing the game, I'm at work. So I'm recording it, and I come back and I don't do Facebook until the game's over. So, and it's always seemed like mine are late, and it is because I have to watch the game late. Crowd goes wild. From then on, you saw the old school OU team, Switzer's OU team. They ran the football. They ran the football to the perimeter, and went out to the perimeter, turned upfield. They ran to the perimeter and just kept running out there, forcing the few players Louisiana Monroe had in to stay in, forced them to stay in. They had them winded. And through timeout or penalty or whatever OU did, basically they dictated the pace. OU dictated the pace. Now, beyond penalties and timeouts and things like that, it was on OU's call. They had a 12-man in the box penalty, 12-man in the huddle penalty. They already lined up and gone before they even stood down. and they were running at an even faster clip, at least through the first half, than these last few years with Landry Jones. When you're on the ball, go, go, go. They were on pace for 102 offensive plays running the ball. After that, they ran the ball. They ran Williams. They ran both of those running backs. Clay Williams, perimeter. Force them to run out there. Then the quarterback would run. So we're faking to Williams. They jumped on him and tackled him. No, we got the ball over here. 6 more yards. They kept switching it up. The pistol formation for the quarterback, just 4 yards off the center, not the 6 or 8 in the shotgun. 4 yards off the center with 2 backs on the side of him, and still in the diamond formation. He was surrounded by running backs. Basically option football, and it was great to see because they were getting yards in just as big as chunks as the passing game, and passing games with Bradford and Hibble and Thompson, Jones. You know the guys. Murderers Row, great quarterbacks. They got big chunks of yards in the vertical passing game, but this time they were doing it running. Yes, Louisiana Monroe, I know, but they still had to line up and play them. They lined up. They kept running it down the throat, and when Monroe couldn't take it anymore, they kept going, and they kept running it out there and scored. Monroe couldn't do anything. They got the ball back. They ran inside. They ran off tackles and ran off tackles and ran off tackles. And the quarterback just with a quick fake ran off tackle. They ran off tackle. And when Louisiana Monroe couldn't take it anymore, they ran off tackle and scored. It may have been a field goal that round, but they scored. Yeah, Louisiana Monroe couldn't do anything. They kept running the ball, just running it. And when Monroe cheated up and totally committed to the run, the passing game flung wide open. And I'll do the picture in a minute. The play of the day was when that happened. Quarterback here. Here's one of my scrimmage. And 2 running backs. Oh, he didn't? Did he have a running back? No, because everybody was up on the line of scrimmage. So there may have been one, but there was a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage. And Saunders kind of wasn't. So that's why there had to be. Well, it had to be. Goes up here. Everybody. It's like student body left. Comes up in here, the running back comes in here and investigates. Anybody gets through, what should be done is running back should see if anybody gets through. If you see 2 of your offensive linemen, you see any of your offensive linemen having problems or getting beat, you should be able to quit your assignment and maybe go back and help. I'd love to have my running back be more than a guy that just hits the hole here, finds the linebacker here if he can, or do this and that. I want him to kind of think on the fly and be able to adjust. Because we're going to do this. If they do this, somebody might get through. If they decide to blitz, somebody might get through. And you're thinking you're going here, somebody could get through on this other side and disrupt the play. We don't want that. So I don't know what the running back did. I forgot to tape it. And my internet's kind of acting up right now, so I don't have it to put on the screen, which is probably something I should have done. But I think even the wide receiver kind of runs an in route. So we don't know what he's doing. Everybody's student body left. Now Saunders runs this little route here. He runs across the field while everybody's going this way and kind of wheel routes it. And he hits him for the touchdown. Now, I don't fault Louisiana Monroe, but what they did was just totally ignored Saunders. And at the snap of the ball, he didn't
go in motion. He didn't go in motion and do the wheel route. He was set. He was set. He was down and set. At the snap of the ball, he ran. He didn't just kind of start flickering in motion and come up. He waited till the snap of the ball and left. Had he maybe had done that,
hold on, Allie.
Come on, girl. Had he decided to go pre-snap, he may have gotten followed, and that would have blown the play up. The play starts, everybody's student body left, Saunders is going this way. Sure, there's somebody looking at Saunders, but that person more than likely is thinking, hey, we're going to student body left here. After they did a lot of running to the right-hand side in the first half, they're going to student body left. I better look for the run. And Knight is great with the handoffs, fake handoffs and running. He's magic with the ball. Once he goes by, nobody's still about here. When he's here, nobody still thought about looking at Saunders. They were still focused on the run. They're coming down. They were coming down. Because out here, by the time he got here, he was wide open. It was wide open. And he waited for him to come by, and after everybody went there, he just had enough to put a light touch on him. It's just a light, right there, touchdown. So maybe he can have those numbers. He threw 3 touchdown passes. This was one of them. He threw 3 touchdown passes because the run game softened, yes, Louisiana Monroe, softened them up, and they made the routes more easy for the receivers to run instead of what they were doing in the first quarter, lining up, being down and set, and trying to run these long vertical routes with a quarterback that hasn't thrown an NC2A snap, yet. Redshirt freshman. But once they flipped everything around and started running the ball, the passing game was wide open because they committed to the run. Ran. They had 243 yards rushing at one point. Now, and I know they had more than that. Now, I don't have the stats up here, but they ran the football. And they ran it effectively, which is something the other quarterbacks, Sybil, Thompson, the other ones, for the most part, didn't have, because a lot of the times they shifted the focus away from the run, passing so much that they could tee off when they ran. DeMarco Murray had a lot of short, no, and minus yard runs. For all the good runs that he had, they did have running backs, and of course Adrian Peterson, but beyond Peterson and maybe Murray, the running game was definitely second on the list. And when they needed to run 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3, they couldn't, and they didn't get a lot of those third downs. They couldn't convert on short yardage situations because running wasn't their focus. If they could take anything from this, they can see that if you run the football and you run it well, and I mean you line up, Oklahoma's line, if you line up against Texas, Oklahoma State, you line up against Florida, Alabama, you line up and you run the football, and you run it and you run it. If they tackle you in the backfield, fine, get up, line up, and run it again, because they've ran this play being tired for one play. And they don't get it. But offense means to offend. When you line up, you push these motherfuckers somewhere. You push them down, you offend them, you talk about their mama. You offend them because the defense is trying to defend themselves. You are supposed to offend them. That's why it's the offense. Push them down, push them away, block them, hold them, whatever it takes. And if they get by you, fine. Line up on 2nd and 14, and you run it down their throats again. And if you only get 2 or 3 yards, fine. You line up and you run it down their throats again. You just saw what your defense did. You don't have to worry about it. You line up and you run it on 3rd and 12. You get it, fine. You don't, kick it to them. You let your defense handle it, and you get back out there and you keep running the ball.
Because when you start running it effectively and you're starting to get the yards, the passing game opens up automatically. And like the C's party, it was two different quarterbacks, and it all started with that 3rd and 10 at the 20. That was a cool thing. Because the kid can run. I mean, the kid can run his ass off. I think he had 100 yards. The kid can run his ass off. Dare I say even Vic-ish. I mean, he can run. Again, against Louisiana Monroe. This Sunday will be the first Sunday with pro football since the Super Bowl. Not counting the preseason. That's what the preseason is. The preseason to me is the regular season, and it's just practice. I practice my yelling, get to warm my pipes up. The referees are practicing, the announcers are practicing, the cheerleaders are practicing, the coaches are practicing. Everybody's ready to go for this professional sport. And I could see 2 weeks. But with the people that you have to evaluate and how big the roster is, I'm cool with 4 weeks. First week, get your starters' feet wet. And you got guys to evaluate. Second quarter, baptize them. Get on in there and play the first quarter, play into the second quarter. The third game is the dress rehearsal. I don't care if they play their starters or not. The third game is the dress rehearsal, the closest to the actual product the NFL puts out than any of the 4 weeks. And the fourth week, with the big cuts coming, I would start only players that are ready to go. Man, I like the green. Yeah, you got the tops and bottoms.
I can't remember what I got this one from.
Huh.
Who you talking to?